Hello, Gemini. Welcome to Soul Good. I'm Amber Marie, and this is your April 2023 Tarotscope. In the description box below, there will be all sorts of goodies for you to explore, including a timestamp if you would like to jump to the start of the reading. But before you do that, I would like to remind you that this is a collective reading, not a personal reading, so please do use your discernment and take only what resonates with you. I would also like to share with you, Gemini, that while I was preparing for your reading, I actually saw a lot of repeating threes and fours. So threes are often about growth. Okay, they can also be about the completion of a phase, as well as expression and groups, of course. But I feel like for you, one of the numbers I saw very clearly was 333, and that is the number of, kind of like in this case, I feel like it's about having faith in humanity. I also saw a reference to Archangel Haniel, which is the bringer of grace. So here's the thing. I feel like for you, Gemini, there are a couple of messages here about you growing, potentially coming to the completion of a phase where you're being asked to have grace, to give humanity grace, to have more faith in humanity, okay, and to really allow yourself to grow further, to evolve further. Okay, take that if it resonates with you. Let me know in the comments if it does. If not, it's not for you. That's fine, right? No big deal. But fours are often about, or rather repeating fours are often about essentially, you having angels around you, you having ascended masters around you, helping you, assisting you, right? So I do feel like you could be experiencing that. And I do feel like if that is true for you, if you feel that way, I feel like this is because, how would you say, I almost feel like the angels are trying to help you get, to create some stability, or it could be trying to lead you or guide you to a space where you feel more stable, more secure. Okay, take it if it resonates. If not, totally cool too. That may be for someone else. So let's jump in and see what you've got going on for you this month, Gemini. I'm really excited to be using this reading that I've created to take a look at what you can do to align with your highest timeline and Christ consciousness, what's helping you to evolve, what's limiting your evolution, and also getting some advice, encouragement, or guidance for you. So let's jump in. Please, Father, Mother, Life, Universe, Spirits, Guides, Angels, our cosmic team, our ancestors, our higher selves, what can Gemini do to align with their highest timeline and Christ consciousness this month? Oh, I just want to point out, yep, thank you for reminding me. I also want to point out that I feel like these readings for this month are very focused or more geared toward the energy that is coming in with the solar eclipse in Aries and this Mercury retrograde in Taurus. For whatever reason, I feel like these readings are going to be more applicable to that energy, either just before or maybe just after or during, right? So again, take it as it resonates with you. That doesn't mean that you may not have already been experiencing these energies or what comes through in this reading, but I definitely feel like it's almost like, I see it almost as like a focal point. Okay, so let's see here. What can you may have a Taurus in your experience, Gemini. Or maybe you have Taurus in your chart and you may want to watch that reading as well, because nothing comes from nothing. So, and I'm not often one who slips. So I feel like there could be something there. If you are dealing with a Taurus or you have a lot of Taurus in your chart, there may be something in that reading for you as well. Okay, so what can Gemini do to align with their highest timeline and Christ consciousness this month, please? I just heard the word relaxed. All of these, yes. Okay, thank you. All right. What is helping Gemini to evolve this month? What is helping Gemini to evolve this month, please? All right. Okay, thank you. Let me just grab these. Okay. And what is limiting Gemini's evolution? Oh, that's way too much. Nice, clear message, please. What is limiting? Thank you. Oh, that's interesting. AF. Okay. Yeah, there may be something for you in that Taurus reading if you feel called. Okay, so can we please have some advice, encouragement, or guidance for Gemini this month? All right. Okay, thank you. Interesting. All right, let's jump in. So what can you do, Gemini, to align with your highest timeline and Christ consciousness? You do have here third eye activation, a brow chakra, inner vision, and clear seeing. So what I feel here for you, Gemini, is I feel like this month you're being asked to go inward. Now, I understand that kind of goes without saying, but for some reason I feel like there are some people listening, okay, who have been projecting. Okay, I know that's probably not something that many want to hear, especially if it's resonating with you, but I do feel like what I mentioned earlier about essentially have some faith in humanity, right? I feel like there's something here that is asking you to go inward, to see why it is that you're seeing these things, why you're lacking this faith, why you are maybe finding yourself unable to give grace to others, why that is, right? Because it's likely something within. So I do feel like what you can do to align with your highest timeline is to go inward, to gain clarity on these things and why they're affecting your external reality or why they are impacting you so heavily. Whew, that's interesting. You also have here soul star activation, fulfilling soul contracts, remembering who you are. Yeah, okay. I feel like for some of you, I feel like there's this element here of perhaps being involved with certain people who, how would you say, you may have had very triggering experiences with them. Maybe you experienced some sort of pain or suffering or trauma with some individuals. And I do feel like these things I feel have happened for you to be able to be triggered by them, right? I feel like it's part of soul contracts that they may have fulfilled with you in order for you to remember who you are, right? So for example, maybe you were in a relationship with someone. It could be a friend, a romantic partner, coworker, what have you, where maybe you're giving too much of yourself and boundaries were needed, where maybe you were too codependent and needed boundaries, right? Or maybe you were in a situation where maybe you were a bit overbearing and someone else, enforced boundaries upon you. Okay. I feel like it's interesting, okay, because I feel like there's this element here of you being reminded of what exactly it is you are at a soul level. And at a soul level, you are essentially love. Right? Like that's it's where you come from. Like that's the basis of you as a soul, is love. Now you can choose to reject that, to deny it. I mean, we live in this world of free will, so you can absolutely believe a lie wholeheartedly. You may have even, how would you say, I'm actually hearing comments made, um, and maybe you said it jokingly to someone, but I feel like there's a grain of truth behind it, no matter how small, where you're like, oh, I don't have a soul. Okay? I'm just saying, for whatever reason, I feel like somebody listening has said that. And I feel like this, the best way for you to align with your highest timeline is for you to reconnect with your soul self. I feel like for some of you, there could have been potentially a lot of spiritual bypassing happening, versus authentic healing. I'm just going to be honest. Okay, so I feel like this is about you reconnecting with the truth of who you are, looking at, looking at things from a space of love, not just for yourself, but for others as well. You also have here, like I said, you also have here higher heart activation, dropping shields, divine love, your heart is healed, right? At the basis of who you are from your soul self, you are love. Okay, and the way that you align with Christ consciousness is through your heart. That's the only way you can do it, through opening your heart. Okay, so again, like I was saying, I feel like some of you have been like, oh, I don't have a soul, or whatever, like I don't have a heart, or something of that nature, right? So I feel like for you, aligning, or the way that you are going to be able to align with your highest timeline and Christ consciousness is to literally open your heart to your truth, to who you are at your core. Understanding that shutting down that heart space is bypassing. It is a defense mechanism. Okay. It's not high vibe, right? That's no. Authentic healing is wholeness. It is feeling all things, understanding that we experience a wide spectrum of human emotion and experience for a multitude of reasons, depending on why you're here, depending on what it is that your soul needs in order to evolve, in order to spiritualize. Okay, and that is why you are here, is to evolve, right? But if you are shut down, you can align with one of two streams of consciousness or impulse. One being the Christ impulse, which is of ascension, spiritualization, or the Antichrist impulse, where you disconnect from your heart and you essentially devolve because you deny God, disconnect from God. Now, I want to lovingly say I am not speaking on these things from a religious perspective at all. Okay? These are things that are taught in esoteric Christianity, and anthroposophy as well. I believe theosophy touches on this as well. Right? So there are, these are things that go back far, far beyond dogmatic religion as we know it today. So, like, cause I don't know why, but I've I felt like judgment coming through. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean God? What do you mean Antichrist? Like, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like some of y'all got like really triggered by that. But that's not what I'm talking about at all. So, I feel like obviously you get to choose which pathway you take. And if this is something that you may have heard about, this in like new age spiritual groups and things, where we talk about 3D Earth and 5D Earth, or old Earth and new Earth, or ascension, right? Same concept. It's just been a little polluted, right? So you get to choose which path you take. And if you shut down your heart, you are most definitely going to align with that Antichrist or de-evolution stream, and you know, I mean, essentially you might have to come back and like do it again. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like part of you, or what's coming through for you, Gemini, and what's coming through to help you align with that highest timeline is for you to reconnect with that heart space. Again, to remember who you are, to give yourself and others grace, to allow yourself to grow. So let's take a look at what is helping you to evolve. You do have here damsel in the upright or light attribute position. Understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. Yeah, so like I was saying, right, you could have been in relationships. Now, whether you're male or female doesn't really matter to me. This could apply either way. I feel like you being in relationships where maybe you have been codependent or others, I really feel like, yeah, I really feel like you could have been codependent or been in relationships where people were codependent upon you. And so therefore it was like a back and forth, right? It feels like codependent from both sides. So I feel either you were codependent or both parties could have been codependent. You know, I feel like that and you know, perhaps experiencing some sort of separation or, you know, end to that, or closing of that cycle or completion of that phase or what have you, right? I feel like that was to help you, right? These things happen for you. That's what people need to understand, is that when things like pain and heartbreak and suffering occur, it is to help us to evolve. Fear, facing fears, whatever they may be in regards to, help us to evolve. Maybe you have a fear of being alone, right? That is also to help you evolve, which would also be codependent as well, right? But I feel like this is definitely something that is helping you. And you may have been going through some relationships where you're like, gosh, none of these seem to be working, right? Because I feel like you're meant to be learning what it means to be in a healthy relationship. And the only way that you can do that is first by evolving yourself, right? Because you can only love someone, you can only understand someone, you can only communicate with someone to the degree at which you do those things with yourself, to the depth at which you do that with yourself. So if you don't love yourself, certainly you cannot love someone else. If you don't understand yourself, how could you possibly expect anyone else to understand you? Or if you're not willing to look at different perspectives of your own being, how could you possibly be open to looking at perspectives of others? Okay, so I feel like this is allowing you to get to know yourself at a much deeper level, and could potentially help you to learn how to be healthy in a relationship with someone else. You also have here rebel in the reverse or shadow attribute position. Rejects legitimate authority out of anger, rebels out of peer pressure or fashion, right? So this is what's very interesting to me, because I got that. Okay, again, like I said, if you have a lot of Taurus in your chart or are close with a Taurus or something, you may want to look at that reading, okay? But in this case, again, it's this, that energy that I spoke upon earlier, like, oh, I don't have a soul or I don't have a heart, right? I literally feel like that is kind of like a, again, it's like a cool thing, right? This is something that you see often, right? So many people question, like, do we even have souls? Like, what's the point? All these sorts of things, and you know, because it's kind of cool, I suppose. And I feel like this is something that I feel like is helping you to evolve in the sense of like showing you what that looks like, interestingly enough. For some of you, I feel like you could have experienced someone who's like, you know, like I actually am hearing some of you like you don't have a soul, but like meaning it, right? Or you know, questioning, like, does that person even have a soul? Like, are they soulless? Like, how could they not see me hurting, like, and feel something, right? You may have found yourself experiencing a bit of narcissism from others as well, which is helping you to evolve, because I feel like it's literally showing you, right? I feel like it's literally showing you what that looks like, what that really looks like. You may have even encountered um, entities or beings that seem soulless, which is very interesting to me. Um, that's the part that's standing out the most. I also feel like there it's interesting too, because it says here rejects a legitimate authority out of anger, and I'm actually being brought to like um not so much authority, but like spiritual structure, because I feel like some of you may have gotten involved in spirituality, but from a place of like no, how would you say, like scholarly education on it, which I myself have been guilty of this, right? I got into spirituality as a means of escapism, which is quite common. Actually, many people get into spirituality to deal with pain, to escape pain, to find a way to move through it, right? Um, so I feel like some of you may have jumped into it as a means of escapism, and haven't explored further to gain like actual knowledge on like any form of spiritual structure. Okay. Some pick this up through concepts like esoteric Christianity, or esoterica. Some pick this up through things like anthroposophy, theosophy. There are traditions both on the eastern side of things and the western side of things, right? And you can find which structure works best for you. But I feel like some of you may have gotten into this without that actual structure. Now, again, this may not apply to everyone, okay? So as always, take it as it resonates. But I definitely feel like there's this rejection of structure, and that's quite Luciferian, okay? But I do feel like it is helping you to evolve in the sense of like showing you that it doesn't work, okay? That's how I'm seeing this. It's like I feel like it's showing you that these sorts of things don't work. I also feel like for some of you, there's something here that's helping you to evolve, because I feel like some of you have rejected God out of anger, out of things that have happened to you in the past, whether that be with other people, whether that be with religion specifically, whatever it may be, spirituality even, or maybe loss or grief or pain or something to that degree. But I feel like some of you have actually rejected God wholly, or rejected God as like an authority, because maybe you have bought into dogmatic religion that says there's a man in the sky who's punishing you for everything you do. Okay. We also have here the mystic. So what's helping you to evolve? You have this in the light attribute or upright position, and it says revels in intimate union with the divine. So here's the thing. I feel like what is helping you to evolve is that door is not closed. Like God does not close the door on you. Christ does not turn its back on you. You turn your back on it. You close the door to God, but it is always there. That being said, I feel like something that is helping you to evolve, or could help you to evolve, is actually delving into mysticism, like literally looking back at knowledge, right? Like I'm talking about people that have actually went into this and wrote books on it, and really have dived very deep, or dove very deep into mysticism, ancient mystery schools, these sorts of things. Again, I feel like that is something that could help you to evolve. For others of you, okay, if you're like, I don't resonate with any of this shit over here, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I feel like the thing that is helping you to evolve is actually that some of you, it's that curiosity towards mysticism. And it could be because you've had certain experiences, right? Certain connections with the divine or with spiritual entities that has caused you to be curious or want to pursue it further, right? I feel like that's helped you to evolve because it's helped you to remain open, if that makes sense. Because I feel like there are, right, you have third eye activation here, right? So I feel like there are those of you who are like, yes, this is awesome, right? You may have had some like really profound experiences, moving experiences, right? And I feel like for some of you that has helped you to evolve because you've continued to pursue those things. But I still feel like there's an aspect here where it's like we need to have that structure, and also to remember, like, how would you say, like, it's not just like a parlor trick or it's not just for entertainment, right? I feel like that's part of why we have this soul star activation. Remember who you are. I also feel like what could be helping you to evolve is literally opening your heart to that intimate union with the divine. But again, the only way that that's going to help you is if you are actually open to it, right? It's very interesting. I feel like there's a lot going on here, Gemini, for you guys. I feel like some of you may resonate with some things and not others. Some of you may resonate with like all of the things. Because it just feels very, your reading feels very busy. Very busy. Okay, so what is limiting your evolution? You do have your goddess. So think about, even though this is in the upright or light attribute position, think about this from a space of limiting your evolution. The feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. So I'm actually kind of getting this, there's an energy here of almost like, so let me just share. First of all, almost all of these cards have women. Actually, all of the archetype cards thus far have women in them. Okay, so I do feel like there's something here about almost putting the feminine on a pedestal, or something to that effect, right? It feels like there is this element of not incorporating both feminine and masculine aspects, almost as if like I don't even know, you guys, some of you may have this mentality of like, I'm a goddess, I'm a woman, I don't need shit, I don't need nobody, I don't need nothing, I do what I want. Okay, and I'm not trying to like stomp on your independence here by any means. I'm not trying to say that you need, I don't think you need to be dependent on a relationship or anything like that. But again, there's this element that came through in the beginning of grace, which can be seen as like, I mean, if I think of a woman who's graceful, I think about somebody who's polite, who is kind, who's compassionate, who's understanding, who's nurturing, right? I don't know, there's kind of this like know-it-all type of energy that's coming through here with this card, and that may be limiting you, right? Like you don't want to have an imbalance of the masculine and feminine, right? The goal is to have a healthy balance of both, right? Because you want to have integrity, power, wisdom, and love. You want to have goodness and strength, right? You want to be whole, right? We don't want to be separated and stretched. Okay? I'm being reminded of like the yin yang. You want a little bit of each. I'm actually getting fear as well. So for some of you, I don't know what it is, like, and it's odd as well, because I feel like if you don't, how would you say, if you don't balance like the masculine and feminine energies, it's almost like the feminine becomes more masculine, which I don't even know how to explain that properly. It's almost like you kind of like forget what it means to be feminine, right? Um that compassion, that empathy, that humility, um and it becomes like selfish and weird and bizarre, angry, right? Not a balanced feminine energy. So we also have here, wow, we have God in the reverse or shadow attribute. So what's limiting your evolution? It says despotism and cruelty, using power to control people. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was picking up on, right? I mean, this was in the reverse, just to remind you. But that's kind of what I was picking up on, is this element of like, I'm going to do what I want. I don't care. I don't need you to tell me, type of thing. Right? So, I mean, you really want a balance of both. And here, just to share with you, like it says here, God in the light attribute is benevolent and compassionate. Right? And I feel like this being in the reverse says that that's missing. That compassion, that benevolence is missing. And I feel like that's limiting your evolution, because again, right, when you close your heart to God, when you close your heart to that Christ impulse, you devolve. Right? And that would be somebody who, I mean, when I think of Christ and that impulse, I think of, goodness, compassion, peace, love, understanding, right? Grace, humility, these sorts of things. So it's very interesting. Let's take a look at your advice and encouragement or guidance for this month. So you do have, oh my gosh, you cannot make this up. Remember, at the beginning of the reading, I said to you, I saw a reference to Archangel Hanael, which is the bringer of grace. You literally have Hanael here showing up for you. So yeah, there's that. It says, honor your feelings. Thank you, Hanael, for supporting me as I honor my emotions. Right? And again, right, the Archangel Hanael being the bringer of grace, like I feel like this is important. Again, you can't, like, how do we say, if you're not giving grace to people, right? If you're not honoring the emotions of other people, how could you possibly expect anyone to do the same for you? There's a book that I've been reading. Well, I've read, and I kind of have to back off and let some things integrate. And so it's been a minute since I've picked it up again. But this book that I've read is The Christ Returns. And essentially what it says in this book is like, whatever you want to experience, you must first do it, essentially, is what it says, right? Or whatever you expect man to do to you, like man will do. So if you're out here running around like thinking that everybody is going to just, stomp all over you and take advantage of you or hurt you or what have you, like that is what they're going to do. Right? So there's this element of like giving people grace, honoring the emotions of other people, and understanding that you impact other people. Right? So it is necessary for you to take responsibility for yourself, to have a bit of faith in humanity, to give people grace, to be kind to people, because you have no idea, you truly have no idea what they are experiencing from their perspective. You can be an empath, you can be an intuitive, you can, put yourself in the shoes of other people, but you cannot fully and wholly know exactly what someone else is feeling and how that affects them on a day-to-day basis, because you have not lived their life through their eyes. You have not experienced everything that they have. Okay, because oftentimes when we are in a certain space, there are a multitude of reasons why. Okay? Wild. So I do feel like a big thing here for you, Gemini, as you move forward, is to not only to honor your feelings, but honor the feelings of others. And I feel like as you start to honor the feelings of other people, you will see them begin to honor yours, because you get what you put out, right? Like as within, so without. So if you are not giving grace, if you're not honoring others' feelings, like they're certainly not going to honor yours. You also have here, take time to breathe. Thank you, angels. I breathe with ease, knowing you're here. I feel like this is, for whatever reason, I feel like there are, and maybe this won't apply to everyone, but I feel like there's a call for you to step back, to take time to yourself, to get to know yourself again, right? To go inward. I feel like this is about taking time to breathe, backing up from the noise of the world. If you look at this picture here on this card, this individual is on a beach alone by themselves. There's nothing around them, right? So I feel here, for you, Gemini, there's a call for you to get time by yourself, to get to know yourself, to remember who you are, right? At a soul level, to take that time to build that relationship with yourself, to bring balance back into your experience. Okay? So I hope this is helpful for you in some way, shape, or form. It has been an absolute pleasure to read for you, Gemini. Thank you so much for your time, your attention, your energy, and of course your company. I'm truly so very grateful. If there has been something in this reading that has resonated or has been valuable for you in some way, shape, or form, please do the YouTube things by liking, sharing, commenting below, or subscribing. It tells YouTube that there may be something for someone else here as well and helps the channel to grow. So I truly do appreciate that so very much. I pray that you have a very expansive month, that you do open your heart and let not only yourself in, but others as well. Take care of your beautiful soul. Peace be with you and within you. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.